So when new anime ends up coming to an end after a first season, especially brand new anime that is seasonal, that you just really don't know what you're going to end up getting out of it, whether you're going to love it, hate it, it's indifferent, or it's just one that just basically flies by like a fart in the wind. You never really know what you're going to get. Well, the good news is with The Genius Prince, I have been singing the praises of this anime since episode 1. Regardless what a lot of other people think, I think episode 1 really hit it out the park and really set the precedent for what we could have all expected ongoing throughout the whole entire season. And each and every single episode was deliberate and executed on exactly what it was trying to accomplish. And it really set up the scene for the genius prince of Natra himself, Prince Wine, to really kind of encapsulate us as a viewer and really kind of set what could come after. And with episode number 12, I was really satisfied with it because it really did two things specifically. One, if for some reason the Genius Prince guide never gets another season, which could happen, right? There's tons of even successful anime that's really awesome that we've just never seen a season 2, or it still has yet to be announced. So let's go for that scenario first. So if the Genius Prince never gets a season 2, what we had throughout the whole entire season was a villain arc, essentially, for Prince Wine all the way to episode number 12. And he lived up to that kind of mantra throughout the whole entire thing, even coming up with a really diabolical plan in episode number 12, where he had this 𝐒𝐚𝐧𝐸𝐭 guy who was threatening the Mardins, right? He was threatening Zenobia to take back their land, and he was using her and the land that they had originally gifted to her royal family at some point, to use that to make a war happen, so then that way he could sneak his way into becoming one of the holy elites for the Leviathan Church or whatever it was, right? So that was the whole thing. So then you have Zenobia and you had Prince Wine coming in and meeting with him to try and kind of undo that thing. And you had Prince Wine who set up all the different dominoes, all the different chess pieces to basically set it up on the board to talk to him. And all those things, all the proceedings failed with Zenobia. So he came in and he threatened him with false things. He threatened him, saying that he poisoned the yellow clothes that his people love. And he gave him an antidote. And he said, I'm going to throw all my people of Natra. I'm going to throw all of them at you. You're going to have to take all of them. So he basically used his nation as a bargaining chip to go through his diabolical plan, as 𝐒𝐚𝐧𝐸𝐭 called it, and he ended up using that as, again, to checkmate him and to moving the 𝐒𝐚𝐧𝐸𝐿 army to go and attack King 𝐒𝐻 or whatever it was, right? And he ended up pulling off that successfully. So again, his villain arc complete with that diabolical plan. He ends up taking on the king. They end up winning against the king, and then he takes him captive. And based on all of that, we saw the king lose massive weight. He went from 900 pounds to like this just built like USC dude. I was like, yo, my gosh. Even Prince Wine was like, oh my God, I haven't seen you. He's like, yeah, my metabolism is crazy. I have to eat all the time. I was like, oh my gosh. And you had all of that, right? And then he completes it, and he finally tells him the truth of what he's trying to accomplish, which is selling off his kingdom and going on a way to like some island somewhere forever, and just selling off his kingdom and not existing after causing all this commotion within the continent. And King 𝐒𝐻 obviously definitely takes a lot of interest in that because it's crazy, it's insane. Like nobody does that kind of stuff. So that is all cool. So his villain arc is essentially complete. And what they did was, if there's nothing else that ever happens here, the ending was him finally, losing some steam, but overcoming, his first major hurdle throughout, that was set up, in the past, few episodes. Obviously, he still has the church and stuff to deal with, but that's why, like, even if we ended here, we got to see the completion of his villain arc. We got to see the completion of his diabolical plan. We got to see him overcome that fat king, right? And then we got to see him basically bask in it. But then we ended on a note where it says, like, okay, If it ends here, we know that there's some additional turmoil that happens, but his major arc was finished. If it continues, which is the second thing I want to talk on, if it continues, then now we know that, okay, now he has to go deal with the church. Now he has to go deal with the things that were coming up, and he has to basically continue on his quest to sell off the kingdom and go rest, right, as he kind of builds up his power in the empire, as he takes on Lomilia, and he has to take on the Leviathan Church. So he has all these additional things that a season 2 or 3 even could definitely come to fruition of. So if it's something to where, popularity and notoriety was there, and, the people spoke, and it did really well on TV in Japan, and the numbers were good, and streaming services are good, and potentially here in the future, Blu-ray numbers are good if it sells, then we'll get another season. We'll get that season. I don't think we're going to get an announcement anytime soon. I mean, let's cross fingers. Hopefully we do. That'd be really cool. But I wouldn't really count on it. But hopefully we do get that very soon. But if we don't, it could still happen, because it looks like there's still enough story based on the pieces that they've set up so far. So those are the 2 branching paths overall. We never get a season 2 again. I feel pretty satisfied with the end, with him overcoming a big bad, essentially, and enjoying that experience to get there. And if we do get a season 2, well, they set up the corner pieces here to say, okay, here's a continuation. So it's one of those in the middle, satisfying things of, I would have liked them to end on more of a definitive note, and if it happens to continue, it happens to continue. But at the same time, they did and didn't, again, because they closed the book on the 𝐒𝐻𝐽 story, and now they're saying, okay, we have more proceedings to come, etc. But if they do continue it, then we can then pick up season 2 or part 2, whatever it would be, right? Because they might do like a How I Realized Hero Built the Kingdom thing, just have a core 2. They might take a 3 or 6 month break, come back in, the fall or the winter again. And they could pick up right from the proceedings where they return the king back to him, and they pick up right there, and then we take off again. So there's a lot of different ways this could go, but obviously I think that this whole entire season was awesome. It's currently being dubbed. I haven't watched the dubbed yet, so I'm hoping the dub is pretty good. Because typically, and I like to sing the praises of dub, because a lot of people really, they poo-poo on it, because like sub versus dub, what's the right way? It's like, yo, you don't speak Japanese, bro. Like, calm down. Like, dub is very important, because there's a lot of people out there who enjoy being able to consume entertainment and not have to read and exert additional senses to enjoy a piece of media. So I'm excited that it's getting dubbed. I'll try and review the dub here on the channel eventually in the future. I have a whole video series, about should you watch this dubbed plan, and I just haven't gotten to fruition yet. So hopefully this ends up being in that series if it ever comes to fruition. If it does, I'll review it, and hopefully it's good, and I will rewatch it when it's done. But thank you all for joining me all season long. I've appreciated you guys being here. You guys have been awesome. Drop your final thoughts, drop your final comments in the comment section below, and let me know what you guys thought about the Genius Princess Guide to Raising a Nation Out of Debt Season 1. My friends, from me to you, appreciate you all, and I'll see you guys in the spring of 2022 as we start new anime. Make sure you guys will check out the video for that as well. Peace out, everybody.